declined. It's just reality. Father Time is undefeated. You can't be 78 years old and not expect some decline.
Do you think voters see it that way? I mean, obviously it was a major issue for Biden. He's not in this race anymore because of it. They don't see Trump the same way?
No, not at all. You don't hear him talk in depth about policies at all. And so you can get by with just sound bites. You can get by with being loud and boisterous and salesy. And to some people, that comes across as being the right thing to do. Because Trump never is intellectual about anything. You don't ever think of Donald Trump and think, wow, that was really an in-depth conversation he had with somebody. You don't think of Donald Trump and say, that was really nuanced in what he had to say about this position or his policy.
Did you know Mark Cuban once thought Trump would make a good president? I know, right? It's like finding out your vegan friend used to work at a steakhouse. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. But now, Cuban's calling Trump's ideas economic suicide. Ouch, what caused this 180-degree turn? Let's find out why Cuban went from Trump's cheerleader to his biggest critic. Remember when Mark Cuban thought Trump was the coolest thing since sliced bread? Yeah, me neither. It's like trying to remember a time before smartphones.
I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, you know, we had the town hall with Harris this week. We heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when Harris likens to a Trump sales tax.
Right.
And drill, baby, drill is what he told me at the town hall.
Going to work.
Well, also the U.S. is producing more oil right now than we ever have. I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office. And just when you compare that, as it's now become the same, people are focusing on the double standard that the both of them face. You know, Trump's plan is tariffs, which, you know,
don't work.
It feels like ancient history. At first, Cuban saw Trump as a breath of fresh air in politics. He was all, yeah, this guy's gonna shake things up. But then, Cuban started digging into Trump's business record. And boy, oh boy, did he find some stinky stuff. Cuban's love affair with Trump's outsider image started to crumble faster than a sandcastle at high tide. He took a closer look at Trump University and Trump Soho, and let's just say he wasn't impressed. It was like expecting a 5-star meal and getting served a microwave dinner. Trump University turned out to be about as legit as a $3 bill. Cuban called it a scam that left a trail of disappointed students in its wake. It's like signing up for a cooking class and ending up with food poisoning. Not exactly what you had in mind. But the cherry on top of this disaster sundae.
When you hear Donald Trump say that the United States has become the garbage can for the world as a dumping ground, I mean, just as someone who, you have such an amazing success story, what do you make of that? You know, when you look at your surrogacy for Harris, you've been out there stumping for her, making the argument for her. The New York Times called you the most surprising surrogate for her.
This is our country. It's beautiful. We love it. I'm still part of the older generation, love it or leave it. And to say that we've become the garbage can is insulting to every single American.
Trump Soho. Cuban said Trump stole $4 million from a friend of mine that had to sue to get it back. Yikes, that's not just shady business, that's full-on eclipse-level darkness. As Cuban dug deeper, he realized Trump's outsider image was about as real as a politician's promises during election season. It was all smoke and mirrors, folks. The final straw, well, it wasn't just one thing, it was the whole rotten apple cart. Cuban couldn't ignore the pattern of unethical behavior he was seeing. It was like playing whack-a-mole with Trump's scandals. Every time you thought you'd seen the last one, another popped up. So Cuban did what any disappointed fan would do. He went public. He called Trump unethical then, and he's still unethical. Talk about a breakup for the ages. It's like unfriending someone on Facebook, but with a lot more zeros in their bank accounts. But wait, there's more. Cuban's criticism was just getting started. He was warming up like a comedian before a big show. And
neither side really, that's just the nature of the candidacy. Neither side gets into details because Kamala Harris came into this race 13 weeks ago in a deficit in awareness. Even Donald Trump said, who is Kamala Harris? Donald Trump has been doing this for 9 years, and he still hasn't gotten into depth in policy.
But why do you think he's not punished for not having policy? But
nobody knows who she is. So she spent the last 13 weeks weeks, letting people get to know her. It's tough to do that and to get into detail on policy.
Trump was about to become his favorite punchline. Stay tuned, folks. This political drama is spicier than a jalapeno eating contest. Think Trump's tariffs sound like a good idea? Well, Mark Cuban begs to differ. He says they're about as smart as using a flamethrower to make toast. Crispy, but at what cost? So what's the deal with these tariffs? Trump wants to slap a whopping 60% tax on Chinese products. That's like telling China, hey, we don't want your stuff unless you pay up big time. Sounds tough, right? But Cuban's not buying it. Cuban's got a different take. He says these tariffs are basically a Trump sales tax on everyday items. Imagine going to the store and seeing prices jacked up by 60%. Your favorite sneakers? Now they cost as much as a fancy dinner. That new phone you've been eyeing? You might need to sell a kidney to afford it. But it's not just about pricey gadgets. Cuban warns that these tariffs could hit small businesses harder than a sumo wrestler. He says, not only did their costs go up 60%, but unfortunately when you raise your prices again, the Grinch doesn't understand how economics work. Ouch, looks like Trump's playing Grinch, and it's not even Christmas. Cuban's not alone in his worries. Economic experts are backing him up, saying these tariffs could mess up supply chains worse than a toddler in a Lego store. And inflation, it might go through the roof faster than a helium balloon at a birthday party. So, how does Trump react to all this criticism? Does he address the economic concerns? Nah, that's not his style. Instead, he goes for the personal attack. Trump jumps on Truth Social, his favorite playground, and calls Cuban a loser and a weak and pathetic bully. Talk about the pot calling the kettle orange. But here's the kicker. Cuban's just warming up. He's got one more bombshell to drop, and it's a doozy.
You're someone who's known Donald Trump for a long time. You used to actually give him political advice. And I wonder, you know, when you describe your relationship, I was looking at this today, in 2016, you said that you and Trump had a love-hate relationship.
I mean, he truths about me on Truth Social, but we don't have a relationship. That's as close as we come. I haven't spoken to him since right before he left the White House.
What do you make of how he was when you knew him?
Yeah, I mean, the weave is on his head and in his mouth, and it's not working. You know, he's slowed down. There's no question about it. Having known him for 25 years.
It's like he's been saving the spiciest sauce for last in this political potluck. What could be worse than calling Trump's economic ideas a disaster? Stick around, folks. This political drama is about to get hotter than a jalapeno eating contest in Death Valley. Well, folks, just when you thought Cuban couldn't get any spicier, he goes and drops the F-bomb. No, not that F word. We're talking about fascism. Cuban said Trump absolutely has fascist tendencies. Yikes, that's like calling someone's breath stinky, but way worse. Cuban's not just throwing words around like confetti at a sad parade. He's got reasons, pointing out how Trump talks about using the military against his enemies and wanting to check people's papers on the street. Sounds like a bad movie plot, right? Except it's real life, and Cuban's not laughing. But here's the kicker. Cuban says it's not about whether Trump's a meanie or a sweetie pie. It's about whether he can do the job without turning America into a reality TV show gone wrong. The lesson here? Even rich guys like Cuban can change their minds when they see new info. Maybe we should all try it sometime. Might make family dinners less awkward.